So back in my early 20s, I was a loose cannon. Music, clubs, and drugs were my passion, and I took every opportunity to indulge in these hedonistic pleasures as much as humanly possible. Partying 2 or 3 times a week was the norm, and with the usual session lasting well over 24 hours. Like, we would literally go out on Saturday night and not get home till Sunday evening, potentially even Monday morning. Things were pretty crazy back then. It's hardly shocking to hear that a 2-time university dropout turned up-and-coming DJ was living this kind of lifestyle. I had no direction in life, and the only thing I was certain of was that I didn't want to be in a classroom ever again. I was naive, reckless, and lost. Had I continued down this destructive path, I probably wouldn't be sharing this story with you right now. In just a few short weeks, I will turn 30 years old, and unlike my 20th birthday, which was fueled by drugs, alcohol, and deafening electro house music, this time I'll be running off a mountain with some fabric and string above my head. I do this fun thing called paragliding, where I attempt to fly like a bird, and on this particular occasion, I'll be cruising around an active volcano called Mount Bromo on the island of Java in Indonesia. Pretty wild, I know. I've changed so much over the last 10 years. Although I'm still the same old Tom, my thoughts, feelings, and actions are dramatically different. I have taken full responsibility for my life and have been able to do and create some rather special things. I've built a successful online business and traveled to over 20 countries, learning exciting sports like rock climbing, skydiving, freediving, and paragliding. So when you look back and consider all the experiences you've managed to squeeze in over the last decade of your life, you really can see how far you've come. This also helps you realize that change takes time. The idea of an overnight success is complete horseshit. The life you're living right now is a reflection of who you are, and so to change your life, you must change who you are at the very fundamental level. And this process takes years. So the obstacle in your path, the devil on your shoulder, is your ego. It doesn't like to change because change is uncomfortable. Your ego wants to keep you in the familiar and known, and it's not going to go down without a fight. But when you struggle against it and win, a whole new life will open up right before your eyes, and you'll be laughing at all the silly decisions you used to make. My 20s were a wild ride that I wouldn't change for the world. Here are the 9 important life lessons I learned on the way. So lesson number 1, life is not all about partying to excess. It doesn't matter which college or university you go to, everywhere you look there is a strong culture of drinking to excess and partying hard. While most of us pass through this phase of life and have a lot of fun in the process, it's important to remind yourself that there is more to life. When you're staying up past 6 AM absolutely off your face, you are borrowing precious energy from your future. Sooner or later, you're going to have to repay that debt. We all know the effects of too much alcohol and sleep deprivation, and hopefully you'll realize that it's not a sustainable way to live. Anyhow, when you approach your 30s, hangovers will turn into a miserable 2-day affair and you'll be forced to cut back on the booze. At least that's what happened to me. Being able to say no to your friends who will try every trick in the book to persuade you to join them on another wild one will help strengthen your will. Plus, you'll have more time just to sit on your own and let your creative juices flow. And just be sure you're not distracting yourself with Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever it is that's trying to grab your attention. It's in this fresh, sober state that you can actually create a future that you'll enjoy. This is the place where we make better decisions and is the place you want to start living your life from. So lesson number 2, not everyone is going to like you. And if you're like me, you try to avoid conflict as much as possible. The unfortunate side effect of this can be a chronic case of people pleasing. You hold back what you really want to say so as not to cause offense, and eventually you become the yes man that others take advantage of. And as you can imagine, being a DJ and later a business owner, I wanted to be liked and accepted. I thought that acceptance and being liked equated to more gigs and more sales, but bending to the will of others and only saying what they want to hear doesn't put you in a powerful position. Not everyone is going to like you, no matter how much you suck up to them. When you accept this and start speaking your truth, people will actually respect you more. It's okay to have a difference of opinion or disagree with someone. What they think of you as a result has nothing to do with you. So speak your mind and you will quickly find out who you can get along with and who is probably worth giving a wide berth. So let's roll into lesson number 3. Failure is not the end of the world. So in my early 20s, the only job I could find that didn't involve stacking shelves was commission-based cold calling. Yep, I was that guy interrupting your grandma's dinner to aggressively persuade her that she needed some new windows and an expensive conservatory. This was my first experience with objection handling, and I sucked at it. The hit rate with cold calling is extremely low in the best of cases, so when you put a shy, inexperienced pothead on the phone with complete strangers who are not expecting your call, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. But the silver lining was that I still got paid at the end of the week by my employer. When starting out in business on your own, all responsibility was firmly placed on my shoulders. When you don't have any idea what you're doing, it's pretty easy to assume that failure is imminent. I tried social media marketing, app and website development, software as a service, and a whole host of other projects that all failed miserably. But what I learned here was that failure was a part of life. When it happens, don't beat yourself up about it. Figure out what went wrong and try not to make the same mistakes again. Staying calm and unreactive when shit hits the fan is one of the most valuable qualities you can develop as a human being. Just know that when you hit rock bottom, the only way is to go up. So lesson number 4, consistent effort every day compounds over time. The 10 years is a long fucking time to learn what works and what doesn't. Chances are there aren't many things apart from masturbating and scrolling Facebook that you do on a daily basis. So now is the time to commit to something that you're interested in or want to get better at and find a way to make it a new daily habit. I want you to look back 10 years from now after you've mastered that particular skill or habit and recognize the moment you decided to change. These moments don't seem important at the time, but upon reflection, these were the moments when your life changed. The same can be applied to negative thoughts and habits. If you consistently indulge in self-doubt, worry, and judgment of others, it's likely this pattern will get stronger and stronger unless you do something about it. I see so many people wasting hours and hours of their precious time on meaningless computer games and Netflix shows without realizing that they're strengthening their habit of distraction and laziness. I know this is not what you want for yourself, so pick up something productive and creative to do instead. It will be uncomfortable in the beginning, but it's going to be totally worth it in 10 years' time when you become a master of the guitar or you learn a new language. Anyhow, let's jump into lesson number 5. Pleasing your parents won't make you happy. If I'm being totally honest here, I went to university with the intention of getting a degree, partly to make my parents proud and partly because I thought that this was the path I had to take to get a good job. But just 3 months in, something just didn't feel right and I decided to leave. I didn't want to waste 3 years of my life studying something that I knew in my heart wasn't going to make me happy. In order to avoid upsetting my parents, I had crafted a clever backup plan. I would reapply to a different university and try something else. And you can guess how that turned out. It wasn't something that I was truly passionate about. I decided to study meteorology because I was interested in the weather and lightning. And I dropped out after 3 months. Looking back, it was a pretty ridiculous decision, but in the moment, it was one that I couldn't escape from. So when you make a big decision like what university or college you go to or what job to apply for, take some time to consider why you're doing it. Is it what you really want to do? Or perhaps you just don't know what you want and are too scared to share this with your parents? When you start doing things for yourself, the things that make you happy, you will finally create a life you love. And it's okay if you haven't got it all figured out yet. Time is on your side. So lesson number 6, be patient, you still have time. Your 20s are all about figuring things out. You have just been released into the big wide world with hardly any solid life experience. This is your time to try new things and fuck up a lot. It's unlikely that you're married with kids right now, so the only consequence of losing all your money on that new business project is probably a bruised ego. Maybe you'll have to go live in your parents' basement for a few months, but in the grand scheme of things, this is a small price to pay. So lesson number 7, travel will make you a better person. There is nothing quite like the giddy excitement you feel when you arrive at the airport, ready to board a flight to a new country. Maybe it's the first time you've traveled out of your country on your own, making the moment even more memorable. Scientists now show us that travel physically rewires our brains. When you visit a novel, new location, your brain is forced to make sense of new stimuli and triggers the growth of dendrites. And these are branch-like extensions that grow from neurons and facilitate the transmission of information between different regions of the brain. So the more dendrites you have, the better your brain will perform. So on your travels, you will encounter problems and challenges that you're not used to. This will allow you to gain new knowledge and wisdom by working through these situations and learning from them. And ultimately, this can lead you to becoming a better human being. So lesson number 8, taking risks is scary, but worth it. I'm not just talking about things like skydiving or rock climbing. While those are great activities that can push you outside of your comfort zone, any kind of activity that requires a certain level of commitment with no guarantee of success can be defined as a risk. To grow as human beings, we must test the limits of our capabilities. And how can we do that if we don't push hard enough to find them? As someone who's still in their 20s, you can afford to take bigger risks. If your world comes crashing down, you still have time to rebuild things. Anyhow, you will learn so much about yourself in the process, you'll want to do it all over again. When I was about 2 years into my first business and hardly making enough money to cover my bills, I decided to sell all of my DJ equipment and invest $4,000 into an online course that showed me how to find and solve a painful problem in any industry using software. After busting my ass for 6 months, following everything I had learned exactly, the software business I had been working on completely failed. No one would put their money where their mouth was and actually pay for the software that I was proposing to create. So I tucked my tail between my legs and admitted defeat. And in the process, I stumbled across an opportunity to apply the marketing skills that I had been developing to the fitness industry. And after another 6 months of trial and error, I finally got my first paying client, and the business soon snowballed into a $15,000 per month beast. If I had given up and settled for a proper job, I would have never discovered this new opportunity and the success that came along with it. So lesson number 9, your state of being is your priority. All I wanted to do in my early 20s was get out of my mind. I was constantly seeking to change my state through drugs and music. But in truth, I was so uncomfortable with myself, I saw these things as the only way to be me. We shouldn't have to sedate and distract ourselves with drugs and alcohol to feel okay. There is a deep reservoir of peace, love, and happiness inside us all. We just need to figure out a way to tap into it. I realized that to have mastery over my life, I had to master my state. This means having an awareness in every moment of how I'm feeling, thinking, and acting. When you think you need a drink after a long day at the office, ask yourself why. You don't need a drink to relax. You crave the feeling you get from alcohol and the release you get from the sedation of your mind. But when you start to sit with yourself in silence and stillness, you can observe the unconscious reactions of your mind. By just observing and not reacting, you are training your mind to stay present. And it's through this process that you purify your mind and generate your own sense of peace and happiness. Your mental chatter quiets down, and all you're left with is the real essence of you. So when you master your state, you won't need to get fucked up, because you'll be so intoxicated with your own feelings of love, compassion, and gratitude that no external substance will be able to replicate these magical feelings. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I know your time is extremely valuable, so if you've enjoyed today's content, please consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell so you get a notification next time I release another one of these videos. You can also leave me a comment below and let me know what part of this video resonated the most with you, or simply click that like button to let me know you enjoyed this content. And if you want to get your hands on a free 12-minute guided meditation that I recorded to help you manifest your dreams and create whatever you want in your life, go ahead and click the link in the description for your free download. And if you want to check out all the latest blog posts on my blog, dabsofreality.com, the link is down there below as well, along with my Instagram and my Facebook page if you want to consider following me on those platforms. Until next time, catch you on the flip side.